Okay, today I want to talk about manual STP computation. I really believe that this thing is just easy if you have some steps that we just need to memorize or to follow. So first of all, I wrote the steps here that we need to memorize. So number one is identify the root bridge. So how do we identify the root bridge? So the root bridge is the one with the lowest bridge priority, right? So if the bridge priority is composed of the priority and the MAC address. So if by default the switches have priority of 32.768 by default, so we can go ahead and look at the MAC addresses. So in our case, switch 1 has the lowest MAC address, which is MAC. Let's assume that this is the MAC address A. So this will become the root bridge. And by the way, you also have to identify the path cost. So we've got fast Ethernet ports. So these all have cost of 19. And also you need to memorize the path costs, the other path costs. Like Ethernet is 110 has a bandwidth of 10 Mbps, so its equivalent path cost is 100. 1 gig is 4, and 10 gig, if I'm not mistaken, is 2, and more than 10 gig is 1. So you also need to memorize that. So the next step is identify the root ports for non-root bridge. So we know that this is the root bridge, right? So these are the non-root bridge. So we need to identify the root ports. So we should also look at the path costs when identifying the root ports. So to get to the root bridge, we should use this path here other than this path, because this has the lowest lower cost, right? So this would be the root port. And switch 3 has 2 links to get to the root bridge. So if we have that kind of situation, we should we should use our tiebreakers. You can also see here that we have tiebreakers. Of course, lower is better, so lowest root bridge ID, lowest root path cost, lowest sender bridge ID, and lowest sender port ID. So in this case, we can't use lowest root bridge ID because we only have one root bridge here, and we can't use root path cost because the costs are the same. So, and we can't also use sender bridge ID because we only have one sender bridge ID. So we can use the sender port ID, which is, in this case, this is the lower bridge ID. Bridge ID, by the way, is composed of the priority yeah, I think it's priority. But anyway, it's usually by default port ID is is 128, and the hardware number, that is +2. For example, in this we have this port, so we just have to add 2, so it's going to be 128 plus 5, so +2. So, and this one should have 128 plus 6. So this would be our root port, right? Because it has the lower sender bridge port ID, which is that value. So next is we need to identify the designated port per segment, so or per link. So, and of course we should use the path cost. So we should look at the path cost. So all the ports on the root bridge have the cost of 0. So this will become the designated port, right? And designated port, right? Designated port, because they have path cost of 0, because they are the ports on the root bridge itself. And so I said per segment. So what about here? This segment or this link. So we have the same. We can't use this tiebreaker for the bridge ID, so we go down to root path cost, which is, in our case, we have the same root path cost, which is 38 or 19 on both links here. 19 here, 19 here. So we can use sender bridge ID, which is, because we have 2 sender bridge IDs. So which one has the lower bridge ID? So the priorities are equal, so we can use the tiebreaker, which is this MAC address. So this will become this port will become the designated port. Okay, and the rest will become the blocking ports. So you can just this will become black right here. So yeah, that's it. So it's just simple. You just have to memorize these things here on the side. So by the time that the switches have identified these ports here, STP will have converged. So yeah, that's it. That's how you would do manual STP computation. So yep, thanks.